Hi everybody, this is the Baseball Hut, the amazing, spectacular, terrific, the great one, the people's champion, your host, and this is another visit to the insane asylum known as WFAN.
They're coming to take me away, ha-ha, they're coming to take me away, ho-ho, hee-hee, ha-ha, to the funny fun.
Now, welcome back to the Baseball Hut, and hopefully you like this video and subscribe. And the only reason I do videos on WFAN is because I don't really like the fact that they've been criticizing the Mets for a very long time, and they've been very unfair. But I see they're kind of like taking a step back. They took a step back really since I've been hammering them of the last year and a half. But I would mention, before we get into this video, which I think is kind of funny, this video makes me laugh. The comments of the crazy guy in the morning makes me laugh. A subscriber, been writing to me for the past week, since last Wednesday, telling your host that Sal Licata had been complaining about your host on the air, saying that I should call the radio station if I have the guts. Now, I listened to the program from last Wednesday, and I could not find anyone asking him about calling me out. Okay, if anybody has heard that, please let me know. The person that had told me this person that had subscribed, I believe he lied to me. And I did not take the bait. I was not going to go and write and call somebody because I'm very busy. I can't be wasting my time waiting on a phone call that might not get picked up from the call monitor. But he had written to me. I told him on Monday that and he said, I'll call. I said, all right. And ask Sal about it and remind him. So, okay. Well, he had written to me late last night telling me, I saw it this morning, telling me that Sal said that I should stop sending people to call the radio station. Now, I only said that to have him call because if you're going to call, and then I told him I will listen after 1 o'clock in the car when I'm going home. So I was out off yesterday. So I told him I'll listen to the radio, which I did. And I listened to it on my phone through their app. I don't have the app, but I was listening to the show. Well, I listened to the last hour and 15 minutes of the show. I told the subscriber when to call. He did not call. So when he wrote to me last night, I was like, well, I don't know what he's talking about. I was like, well, I listened yesterday, and there was nothing there. And I did not hear the person that had called, that had been writing to me. There was no mention of your host at all. And he wrote back and said, you know what? It was the screen caller telling me that. So I don't like being lied to. He basically got blocked because I'm not dealing with people that are going to lie to me. But I will say, if anybody has listened, specifically on last Wednesday's program of Sal Licata and Brandon Tierney, and you heard them mention the Baseball Hut over the last few days, please let me know and send me the link. Just go into their Odyssey.com website or app and send it to me here, okay? I'm not going to go looking through it, and I listened to the entire show last Wednesday. I had it on speed, and they were talking fast. I didn't hear anything about your host. So, I have no problem, believe me, I have no problem calling the radio station. To make fun of, to talk to them. Believe me, I have no fear of that. It's just annoying where I live because the signal's not great here. But anyway, let's get on with the show. What's this video about? Headline from Odyssey. Gio, Mets fans get ready to have haters all season long. Let me read this again. This is from Greg Giannotti. Mets fans get ready to have haters all season long. Well, they've had haters for 35 years from your radio station. After listening to MLB Network's Howard Reynolds question the potency of the Mets lineup when talking with BT, AK the Coconut, and Sal the Spaz Licata on Tuesday, Gregory had an epiphany. After being the lovable underdog story a year ago, the Mets are now, along with the Dodgers, the team that everyone will love to hate now that Steve Cohen splurged for Juan Soto. Quote, this is something we're going to have to deal with all year long, and that's fine, Gregory said. It's what happens when a team spends a lot of money and makes a lot of big splashes. okay? The Mets are going to have haters all year long. They hated them all last year. They hated them all last year until they won it in Atlanta and in Milwaukee. The fun, love, OMG, Jose Iglesias Mets are dead. Now everyone's going to come out of the woodwork. Maybe not as much as the Dodgers, but the Mets are that team that everyone's going to want to poke holes in now because Steve Cohen is spending the money. You've been trying to poke holes in them for 4 years since they've been doing this channel. For 4 years. This is WFAN. Being a big market team in New York that now boasts 2 MVP candidates in Soto and Francisco Lindor, or boasting a rich free spending owner like Cohen, Gio says the Mets have now become a team that fans outside of the city love to hate, and much of the year will be spent with fans preying on New York's downfall. Are you kidding me? Is this guy like for real? Mets fans buckle up because there's going to be haters everywhere. That's all we deal with. What is he talking about? Can someone explain to me what this lunatic is talking about? I've been doing videos on them for over a year and a half. I've been sort of following them for 35 years. For the last 4 years, they've been attacking Steve Cohen. The second he bought the team, they said he was cheap. They said he was cheap last offseason. A month into the offseason, they were complaining that it was a failed offseason if they didn't sign Juan Soto. Sal Licata said that. Then when they signed him, well, if you don't sign Pete Alonso, it's a failed offseason. Then he switched and changed his mind, said, you know what? You don't want Pete back because you know what? Pete's going to be mad and there's going to be a bad relationship. Duh. Are you kidding me? This is the same group of guys and individuals on WFAN when they started breaking the team up in 2023, doing nothing but pissing and moaning and making up stories about the club. This is the same group of individuals that in 2022 or 2021, Boomer Esiason threatened to not go to Citi Field if he didn't learn about the business stealings of Steve Cohen. Are you kidding me? They're the biggest haters in the world. And I would mention, are they begging me to call their radio station? You don't want that. Trust me. You don't want that. Because I'm liable to say anything and it'll embarrass them. I can talk about anything. Because I noticed they don't talk about certain things in sports. We'll leave it at that. But anyway, this is like the biggest farce. Buckle up because the haters going to be everywhere. The second, when the Mets had a 5-game losing streak last year, they were calling for them to trade Edwin Diaz. Now, I was one of the last to sort of start complaining about the club. But I was one of the first that said, look, give them a chance to see what happens. But these guys, when they got off to an 0-5 start, they were ready to rip into them like you could not imagine. They loved it. Because they know their audience are self-hating Met fans and a lot of Yankee fans who hate the Mets. Okay? The second the Mets have any kind of a 1-game losing streak, these assholes will be complaining. And this is another visit to the insane asylum known as WFAN.
They're coming to take me away, ha-ha. They're coming to take me away, ho-ho, hee-hee, ha-ha, to the funny fun.
Hi, everybody. This is the Baseball Head, the amazing, spectacular, terrific, the great one, the People's Champion. Your host, I want to welcome back to the Baseball Head 2. I hope you like this video. Hit that subscribe button. You know, most players, they play hard. They do what they got to do. And, you know, sometimes they get hurt. Sometimes they don't get hurt. But there's one player in Major League Baseball who probably signed like the worst free agent contract in the history of the game. That's Anthony Rendon. Well, we got a new story about him. Oh my goodness, this guy, it's bad enough that he doesn't give a shit about playing the game. He said that he looks at it as a job. He doesn't look at it as a life, you know. Some players, they struggle to get to the major leagues. They take them 10 years, some of them 12 years to get to the major leagues. They beat around the bushes. They go to independent ball. They go to Korea, or they go to Japan, and they do their best to get back to the United States so they can have a chance to play in the major leagues. And just to say I played, had an bat in the majors. But Anthony doesn't care. And ever since he signed with the Angels, nothing's gone right. Pretty much. I mean, after the Nationals won the World Series. He left, and nothing has gone right for him or the Angels. Obviously, they did not do their due diligence talking to him and his background. The Nationals had no problem letting him walk. Well, the Nationals didn't have a problem with Bryce Harper walking. But let me read the headline. It's from MLB Trade Rumors. Anthony Rendon to undergo hip surgery, facing long-term absence. That's what he's been for the last 5 years. Long-term absence. Unbelievable. Angels third baseman Anthony Rendon is slated to undergo hip surgery and face a long-term absence. General Manager Perry Minasian announced to the Angels beat this morning. Angels fans ought to beat this guy. Rendon is 34, is entering the 6th season of a 7-year, he's got one more year, $245 million contract that's proved a catastrophic misstep for the Angels organization. He played 52 of 60 possible games during his first season with the Halos, and looked every bit like the star they hoped to sign, hitting .286. It's been all downhill from there. Over the past 4 seasons, Rendon has played 205 of the possible 648 games. Now, I saw a thing online that during the time that Ted Williams was in World War II and in the Korean War as a pilot, he played more games during those seasons than Anthony Rendon has over the last 4. And those are 2 tours of duty in the military. And, of course, Rendon hit .231 over those 205 games with a .329 on base percentage, .336 batting average. Crazy. Dating back to 2021 alone, Rendon has had a staggering 12 different injured list placements. That procedure will account for his 13th. He missed time of a near interminable list of injuries, which in order reads as follows. Okay, let's get this. Knee contusion, hamstring strain, hip impingement, wrist inflammation, wrist surgery, groin surgery, wrist contusion, shin contusion, hamstring strain, back inflammation, oblique strain, and now hip surgery. Jesus Christ. As Minasian explains, Rendon had a setback during his offseason rehab work, leading to the upcoming operation. Even prior to that, Minasian had stated that after the past 4 seasons, Rendon would not simply be handed the third base job on account of his contract. The Angels were open to everyday additions at the hot corner throughout the winter and reportedly looked into potential trades for Nolan Arenado, Alec Bohm, and Eugenio Suarez. They recently signed Yohan Moncada to a 1-year, $5 million deal. With Rincon out indefinitely, Moncada's already apparent status as the team's primary third baseman is only further solidified. So that explains why they signed him, Moncada, last week. There's no exact timetable for Rendon's return, but at this point it's fair to wonder whether he'll make it back to the field in an Angels uniform. He's been injured more often than not since signing it in Anaheim, and now faces the prospect of rehabbing from a major surgery in his mid-30s. He signed to the 26th season, bringing him close to a point which teams start to feel comfortable cutting bait on underwater contracts. Given Moncada's own lengthy injury history, the Angels may have to patch things together at the hot corner this year. Utility infielder Kevin Newman signed a big league contract early in the offseason and could see frequent time there. He may also get some time run at shortstop with Zach Neto still mending from shoulder surgery. Neto said earlier today that he recently got some good news and his head of schedule and recovery. Again, the Angels can't do anything right. They're a disaster, and Artie Moreno should have sold the team last year. He was going to, and then he changed his mind. And of course, you got this guy who doesn't care. That is the worst place you could probably go to, because you got an owner that doesn't know what the hell he's doing. You got Mike Trout who can never stay on the field. I mean, I'll say one thing about Mickey Mantle. He always played over 100 games every year. Mike Trout never does. He's worse than Mickey Mantle. And somebody had asked me about a year or two ago, would you bring in Mike Trout to play for the Mets? No, he's past his prime. Thing about being a great player, he's got to be on the field. That's one of the many tenets of it. If you're not on the field, you can't be great. Mike Trout's good enough to be a Hall of Famer, but he's not good enough to be an all-time great because he hasn't been healthy. And Anthony Rendon, I have no sympathy for him. He's a Met killer of the major order. I do not feel sorry for him one bit. And if he's going to disrespect fans by saying he doesn't care about the game, then I have no sympathy for him. He's making all this money and he can't like push himself to get on the field. No, that's on him. Someday when someone comes to him, and he's not going to be treated well. Maybe the Nationals fans will treat him well when they have like an anniversary for the 2019 team. But for the most part, Major League fans do not like him, just due to the fact that he's such a jerk, and has very little respect for the fans and very little respect for working class people. Well, glad he's not our problem. Glad he's not a Mets fan's problem. But that's why you got to be very careful about signing players to these long-term deals, just due to the fact they hit 30 years old, you never know. And the fact of the matter is, you got to be able to talk to the person and really get to know them and know their reputation. I'm sure the Nationals knew his reputation about this. No team knows a player better than the team that he signs with and goes through their farm system. They learn about him in those quiet moments, beating the bushes in South Carolina and Georgia and Texas League and the Florida State League, or in the California League, wherever they play in the West. But that's where you really learn about a player when they're coming up to the minor leagues. I'm sure the Nationals knew that. That's probably why they had no problem moving on from that very quickly. I guess they figured they take their chances. They won their World Series, they're going to move on. And that's exactly what they did. And they look pretty smart for doing that. A couple other notes. Among the notable non-roster invitees in Angels camp who could factor into the infield are Tim Anderson. I don't know what happened to his career. J.D. Davis, who can't hit a fastball. Carter Kilboom, and Yomer Sanchez. So to give you an extra bit of information here, but let me know what you think about this video, and of course, please subscribe to Baseball Hut 2. I'll see you later. Hi everybody, this is the Baseball Hut, the amazing, spectacular, terrific, the great one, the People's Champion. Yo, and welcome back to the Baseball Hut. Hopefully you like this video. Hit that subscribe button. We're going to run over, run over, do over. It doesn't matter. We're going to go over the predicted 26-man roster that the Mets could possibly have. 2025 is just the beginning. We have not reached the point of all the players in camp yet, which will happen next week. Hopefully they'll announce by the end of the week the re-sign of Pete Alonso. They've not done that. So officially did not announce Pete on the roster. But it's pretty much obvious that Pete's coming back. We all know that. Pete hasn't said anything. I know Steve Cohen has. But here we go. This is from SNY. We'll go over theirs and we'll see. I've not read it, so we'll see what they have to say. I like not reading because you get my own sort of initial reaction. Mets 26-man roster prediction 2.0 2025 season. Roster battles are coming into focus with spring training underway. Mets spring training in Port St. Lucie, Florida is in full swing. The big group of position players are already there, along with the pitchers and catchers, when writing their way too early roster prediction back on January 13th, jeez. They theorized that the Mets would add another impact bat. They did that. Pete, a legitimate late inning weapon. They did that. A DH outfielder and perhaps make a trade or two before all was said and done. They've done the first three things: re-signing Pete Alonso to a 2-year deal, inking AJ Minter, and re-signing Ryan Stanek, and of course bringing back Jesse Winker. With about 6 weeks to go until spring training against the Astros in Houston, the possibility remains that the Mets could swing a trade or two. Barring that, all the players who will break camp with the team should already be on the 40-man roster or part of the non-roster invitees. Here's their list. So they would have at first, behind the plate, be Francisco Alvarez. We know that. Pete Alonso will be the first baseman. We know that. Jeff McNeil will be the second baseman. We'll see. Francisco Lindor will be the shortstop. Mark Vientos will be at third, and his value is highest at third if he continues to do the kind of production output that he did last year. If he plays first base, he's not going to be an all-star, but at third base, if he does this again, he'll be on the all-star team. Book it. If he has that kind of first half this year, he will be on the all-star team. I will guarantee you that. Brandon Nim on left field, okay. Tyrone Taylor in center field, obviously with Jose Siri. Of course, a man named Juan Soto will be in right field, and one of the DHs will be Jesse Winker. The lineup should be mostly locked in, perhaps with the exception of second, which we'll get to in a bit. They wrote in our two early roster prediction that included Pete Alonso at first, that while people were bending over backwards to try to find a landing spot for him that wasn't the Mets, that they remained by far the most logical landing spot. They also explained at the time that while the Mets could have conceivably shifted Martinez to first and filled third base internally, that couldn't possibly have been their preferred outcome. That wasn't, believe me. I don't think that would have been a good idea. You didn't want to have like an unknown at first in terms of defensively, and an complete unknown at third when you're trying to go to the World Series. Carlos Mendoza said on February 11th that Ronnie Mauricio likely wouldn't get his spring training games until the middle of March. That further proved that the Mets were either bluffing by going to turn on third, or were fully comfortable with either Brett Beatty or Luis Angel Acuna there, which is hard to believe. Yeah, I'm certainly not sold on Brett Beatty. Acuna's different. I don't know if he's a third base. He might be a little vertically challenged. A way to our projection also predict the return of Jesse Winker. Mendoza added, as far as second base goes, Mendoza wouldn't go so far to name McNeil the starter there as camp starter, but he strongly hinted at McNeil's job to lose. Now, he will play a lot. So on this team, he's going to play a lot. He's going to play left field a little bit, right field a little bit, DH a little bit, second base. So he's going to get his at-bats. But he's got to hit. We know that. Mendoza added that Acuna, Beatty, and prospect Jeff Williams would be among the other players getting reps at second base in games this spring. With Acuna and Beatty also seeing time at third, and Jeff Williams in the outfield, center field in particular. So these guys are going to get a lot of playing time, and we're going to see them a lot. The easy money is on McNeil breaking camp as the starter at second, but that position could be in flux if he struggles to start the year right. I mean, or if he hits really well, maybe they trade him. Who knows? But McNeil's here, so don't expect him to get moved. They don't mention Starlin Marte, who will be the other player. They didn't mention him here, which I think they should have, since he's the fifth outfielder on this team and the right-handed DH on this team. Starting rotation: Shormanaya, okay, check. Kodai Senga, we'll see. David Peterson, okay. Clay Holmes, slight question mark because you don't know how he's going to perform in the rotation. And Frankie Montas is a fifth starter. He makes me nervous. With the handful of scheduled off days over the first few weeks of the season, the Mets will begin the year with a 5-man rotation before transitioning to a 6-man rotation, which will help keep Kodai Senga fresh and keep Clay Holmes' innings total in check a bit as he transitions from relieving to starting. Shomer and I will lead the group, which will be rounded out by David Peterson and Frankie Montas. Senga will be the X factor. That is very true. Odds for the sixth starter role will include Paul Blackburn, Griffin Canning, and Tyler McGill. And then, of course, we have Brandon Sproat at the back end, but he's down the road. I'm not too concerned with him. Griffin Canning, I think I said in the previous video that the Mets look at him as a guy that could be a number one starter, that he has that kind of stuff. He was drafted number one by the Angels. They don't know what the hell they're doing there in Anaheim. So that's a guy to keep an eye on with the Mets. Then we got in the bullpen, Edwin Diaz, AJ Minter, Daniel Nunez, Reed Garrett, Jose Buto, Ryan Stanek, Sean Reed Foley, and Griffin Canning. So, I mean, it's a pretty good bullpen. I mean, I wish they'd had another lefty here. But the Mets have a long man, Jose Buto. They got a lefty in Minter. They could use another lefty in that bullpen. I guess Danny Young, could be the other lefty. And Buto, obviously, is a key guy because he could be a long man. A couple other guys here would go through. But you got Huascar Brazaban. Well, see, he makes me nervous. Jose Sirius, the fourth outfielder on this Mets team. He's not going to hit much, but he's a great defensive player. And the reason he's here is because they need strong defense in center field with Nimmo and Soto there on the corners. So that's why they went to a guy that's a better defensive player than Harrison Bader. Luis Torrens will be back behind the plate for the Mets. He's a great defensive catcher. Nobody runs on him. Nick Madrigal, we'll see how he performs in spring. He's got a split contract, so he could be on the Mets 26-man roster when they come up north, or he'll go to AAA. So the Mets actually did a smart move instead of Joey Wendell, who gave them nothing last year, and they gave him a major league contract. But at least with Madrigal, he's got a split contract. And finally on this list is Starlin Marte, who I would think that he's going to be here. He's making too much money, and he has really declined as a player. So the Mets are just not going to, kill themselves with it. Now, I would mention the one drawback to this 26-man roster is, according to them, the players they have on here, the Mets do not have a natural backup shortstop. So that is a concern to me, because I can't have Lindor get hurt at some point, and then I got to go to somebody that's not a shortstop by shortstop. The most natural shortstop the Mets have on their 40-man roster besides him is, and that can play, that doesn't need any rehab work, is Luis Angel Acuna. So that's the only one that actually has the ability to play shortstop over a long period of time if I need it. So, but let me know what you think about this 26-man roster. The rosters always change. They could change within a day of the season beginning. So I'm not getting worked up about this, but people like to talk about it. We can talk about it here, no problem. But thank you for watching this video. Please subscribe to Baseball Hut, and I'll see you later. Now, welcome back to the prospect hub. I'm going to talk about another Mets prospect. This is Amazing Avenue's fourth best prospect in the Mets farm system. That's Jonah Tong, who sort of came out of nowhere in 2024 after being really not even a prospect. Now, that's what's great about pitchers in particular. These guys can come from out of nowhere and become a big player. We saw that with Jacob deGrom, if you remember. He was not considered an ace at all. He was just a guy who was going to be a middle reliever and fifth starter at best. But this from Amazing Avenue, top 25 Mets prospects for 2025. Jonah Tong at number 4. Next on their list is a right-handed pitcher. A native of Markham, Ontario, Canada, Jonah Reed Tinchi Matthew Tong grew up in a family of athletes. His father, Alex, played hockey and volleyball in high school. His mother, Karen, played softball, field hockey, and volleyball in high school. Jonah has 2 sisters, and both are athletes as well. His older sister, Morgan, competing in gymnastics for Central Michigan University, and younger sister, Mortana, playing softball and baseball. In 2021, the right-handed pitched at Bill Carruthers Secondary School in Markham, then transferred to the Georgia Premier Academy for his senior season in 2022. He also pitched for the Frederick Keys of the MLB Draft League in 2022, making 4 appearances and 3 starts. He posted 10.80 ERA and 11 2/3 innings, allowing 14 hits, walking 10, and striking out 14. Tong had a commitment to North Dakota State University, but ended up signing with the Mets after they drafted him in the 7th round of the 2022 MLB Draft and offered him a $225,800 signing bonus, exactly slot value. He did not pitch in 2022, and going into the 23 season was not considered a top prospect by Amazing Avenue. His 2023 season got off to a late start when the Mets initially held him out from organized games. Signed to the Florida Complex League Mets, the 20-year-old finally made his first start of the season on June 30th and made 7 appearances with the Florida Complex League Mets, pitching about once a week. Now, I do have a video on Jonah because I cover a lot of the Mets, and I had a video on him in 2023. Really wasn't a lot to talk about. But I do have a video on here. You got to find it. I forget where I put it. I'm sorry. It was when the Mets made I think I did the 22 draft. So I do have it on here. And if you Google his name, Jonah Tong, you'll find it. I might be the only one that's covered him before anyone's really talked about him. So I'm very proud that I found him long before anybody else was talking about him. Assigned to the Florida Complex League Mets, the 20-year-old finally made his first start of the season on June 30th and made 7 appearances with the Florida Complex Mets, pitching about once a week. He threw a total of 12 2/3 innings His early appearance more abbreviated, and his later appearance multi-inning outings, and allowed 9 runs earned, giving up 9 hits, walking 13, striking out 25. He was promoted to the St. Lucie Mets at the end of August and made 3 appearances with them, allowing 5 earned runs in 8 1/3 innings, allowing 8 hits, walking 9, and striking out 13. All in all, in his first year as a professional, Tom posted a 6.00 ERA in 21 innings over 10 games, allowing 17 hits, walking 22, striking out 38. Once again, he did not make Amazing Avenue's top 25 Mets prospects list. And like I said, they did cover him. They did have a scouting report of him when the Mets drafted him, and I do believe I have it on here. I'll search after this video, and I'll put the link in. But if you even just Google his name, you'll find it. That offseason, seeking to improve his control, Tom adopted a new mentality of not attempting to fine-tune his pitch placement. He also added a new slider to his pitching repertoire, seeking to add a pitch to his arsenal to be a middle ground bridge between his overhand fastball and his big 12-6 curveball. When the 2024 season began, the fruits of his efforts were immediately apparent. Assigned to St. Lucie Mets, he went unscored for 18 2/3 innings, has scattered just 7 hits, given up 5 unintentional walks, and striking out 36 of the 68 total batters he faced. He was promoted to the Brooklyn Cyclones at the beginning of May, and while he had his share of growing pains there, he added his name to the annals of great Brooklyn Cyclone pitchers. Posted 3.71 ERA in 85 innings, with 74 hits, 38 walks, and 110 strikeouts. He was promoted to the Binghamton Rowan Ponies at the beginning of September, and had an incredible debut, retiring the first 17 batters he faced, allowing his first Rowan Ponies base run in the 6th inning, when Somerset infielder Max Burt reached base on a Jeremiah Jackson throwing error. The right-hander needed 77 pitches to throw 6 1/3 innings, and threw 51 of those for strikes, striking out 9 batters and generated 14 swing and misses. His 81-game score was the highest in his career and was the second highest by any Mets minor league starter logged in 2024, behind only Brant Sprout, an 84-game score posted on June 2nd. When he threw 7 scoreless innings against the Harrisburg Senators, allowing 1 hit, walking 1, and striking out 10, Tom came back down to earth in his second and final start, but his season was undeniable. 113 cumulative innings between single A and high A and double A posted 3.03 ERA, with 85 hits allowed, 47 walks, 160 strikeouts, most of any Mets minor leaguer in 2024, and third most in the entire organization. Surely only big leaguers Sean Manaea and Luis Severino, and their 184 and 161 strikeouts respectively. Tom, who was born in 2003, has mechanics similar and reminiscent of 2 of the most notable pitchers of his youth, Roy Halladay and Tim Lincecum. The 6'1", 180-pounder right-hander throws from a high 3/4, virtually over-the-top arm slot, the long action to the back, dropping and driving off the mound with a large stride and throwing with some effort, giving his pitches good extension but negatively impacting his command and controlling the pass. His 4-seam fastball sits in the low to mid-90s, averaging 92.8 miles per hour during his time with the St. Lucie Mets. While the pitch can top out as high as 95, it isn't velocity resulting in a 49.1 with swing rate and a 14 of 36 strikeouts. Thanks to the amount of backspin the pitches get, his extension off of the mound, and the angle of his arm at release, Tom's fastball has averaged 20 inches of induced vertical break in the Florida State League and elsewhere, causing a ton of swing and misses, especially when he elevates the ball. Coming into the season, Tom mainly was a fastball curveball pitcher who occasionally mixed in his slider and changeup. The past season, he relied on his slider a lot more. The cutter-like pitch has essentially become his main strikeout pitch after his fastball replacing his curveball. It has hard gyroscopic break with 2 to 6 inches of horizontal hop and 26 to 37 inches of vertical drop, resulting in high striking and whiff swing rates. The curveball sits in the mid-70s and tunnels exceptionally well with his fastball. Average spring rates over 2,500 RPM. The pitch has massive 12 to 6 drop, sometimes getting as much as 70 inches of vertical break. Tong keeps the curveball down, mainly working at the bottom of the strike zone or under it to get batters to swing over the pitch or to golf ball it into the air for pop-ups or fly balls. His changeup is the least used of his arsenal, but it was effective offering in 2024. He used the low to mid-80s pitch specifically against left-handed hitters, and in the limited amount of time he has turned to it, it has been a useful weapon against them. Historically, Tong has struggled with his command and control, but changes to his arsenal and his mentality and preparation have seemingly improved it significantly. Now, this is probably one of the biggest improvements of any Mets pitcher. I'm sure he went to the Mets pitching lab and they made some changes, because you see it here. He is a great example of pitching, where you can get a great pitcher or even a guy that was not considered a prospect become a prospect, and he is the fourth best prospect according to Amazing Avenue. And he was not on this list at all last year, so he could really take major steps. He could be number one prospect with the Mets. Who knows? But he's a name to keep an eye on. I think I said that last year. If you've been following me, he's a name to keep an eye on the Mets organization, even more than Brandon Sprout. Everyone's talking about Brandon Sprout today. I was seeing on listening to the radio. This is the kid you want to keep an eye on, because if he's throwing strikes and he's got all this movement, he just reading this and just doing based on certain things. How Tim Lincecum used to hide the baseball when he pitched. It's gonna be tough to hit if he gets to the major leagues, and if he's throwing strikes, he's gonna get a lot of strikeouts. He's gonna get a lot of ground balls. Just from reading this scanning report. So, but I'll have more scanning reports on him and on all these other Met prospects. And I dig deep. We dig deep with these players in the Mets farm system. That's why this channel is dedicated solely, for the most part, on Mets prospects. Once in a while, I'll do something else with the Mets, but this is primarily a Mets prospects channel. I'm very proud of this channel. Never thought this channel would do anything, and it does some things when I needed to. But again, thank you for watching this video. We have 3 more on that list, and then we'll move on to another list, and we'll talk about them. And of course, got spring training going on. And thank you for watching, and I'll see you later. Here's another prospect scanning report from Amazing Avenue, and this is the Mets' number 3rd best prospect, according to Amazing Avenue. Carson Bench from Oklahoma. Now, here's the thing. He is now number 3. They drafted him last year. He has a possibility of being number 1 very, very quickly this year, because Jeb Williams and Brandon Sprout could be, and they're the last 2 guys on this list, could be off this list by the middle of the season. So he might be number 1 anyway. Here we go. Top 25 Mets prospects for 2025. Carson Bench. Next on their list is an outfielder. Carson Bench grew up with 2 older brothers, Garrett and Tyler, and all 3 grew up baseball rats in their native Yukon, Oklahoma. Garrett attended County Community College in Arkansas City, Kansas. In 2015, was drafted by the Cleveland Indians with their 22nd round pick. In 2015 MLB draft, attended Oklahoma State University. In 2016 and 2017, was then drafted by the Boston Red Sox in the 13th round of the 2017 MLB draft, and played in the system for 3 years. Tyler attended Southwestern Oklahoma State University in Weatherford, Oklahoma, and played at the collegiate level for a pair of seasons. Youngest brother Carson may have the most potential and brightest future of the 3 of them. From an early age, Carson Bench was dedicated to baseball, following along in the footsteps of his older brothers. He spent every waking hour he could at the batting cage, the phrase swinging out of his shoes bandied about by virtually everyone that knew him as a precocious youngster. He would use his older brother's equipment and would play with his brother's friends, who were anywhere between 3 to 5 years old, 5 years older than him. He would have his younger sister Sydney put on gear and catch him, leading to various injuries, arguments, and punishments over the years. By the time he began his freshman year at Yukon High School, a growth spurt had left him a tall, lanky young man, and his wild swing had been refined into a powerful left-handed stroke. Bench had much of his high school baseball experience muddled by the COVID-19 pandemic. His entire junior season canceled, and parts of his senior year as well, but he put up impressive numbers when he was able to get on the field. In his senior year, he was named OCABA Okabaga North Player of the Year and earned COAC Offensive Player of the Year honors as well. As a senior 2021, hitting .490 and posted an 8-1 record with 124 strikeouts on the mound. Bench had previously committed to Oklahoma State University after going undrafted in the 2021 MLB draft because of his strong commitment to the school, like to attend the school and honor his letter of intent. His freshman season winded up ending before it even began as he injured his elbow just prior to the start of the 22 season and needed Tommy John surgery to correct, costing him the year. He returned to O'Brate Stadium in 2023, his redshirt freshman season, and returned in a big way. In 59 games, he had .345 with 17 doubles, 7 home runs, 8 stolen bases. Additionally, on the mound, he pitched 35 innings, posted a 6.69 ERA with 38 hits, allowed 24 walks, and 35 strikeouts. Bench led the Cowboys in batting average and on base percentage, was named to the Big 12 All-Freshman team, the All-Big 12 first team as a utility player, and the All-Big 12 second team as an outfielder, and was a finalist for the John Olerud Two-Way Player of the Year award, an award that ultimately went to Clemson senior Caden Grease. That summer, he played for the Chatham Anglers of the Cape Cod Collegiate Baseball League. He appeared in 9 games and hit .345, with 1 triple and threw a scoreless inning on the mound, giving up a hit while striking out 2. He returned to Oklahoma State University for his redshirt sophomore season, and once again was a true two-way player. As a hitter, he hit .335 with .444 on base percentage, .665 slugging percentage, 61 games with 24 doubles, 2 triples, 18 home runs. As a pitcher, he appeared in 18 games and posted a 3.16 ERA in 37 innings, allowing 26 hits, walking 11, striking out 44. Once again, he was a finalist for the John Olerud Two-Way Player of the Year award, but lost out this time to University of Florida star Jack Caglione. Thanks to their 75-87 record during the 2023 season, the Mets ended up with a 4.3% chance to receive the first overall selection in the 2024 MLB Draft Lottery, a 4.8% chance to receive the second overall pick at 5.4. Well, you know how that goes. The Mets did not win any of these picks, and as such were relegated to the 9th overall pick. Because the 2023 Mets exceeded the competitive balancing tax threshold by more than $40 million, their first selection dropped by 10 picks to the 19th overall pick instead. The Mets selected Benj with their first-round selection in the 2024 MLB Draft. Going into the season, he had been seen as a player who would be selected in the back half of the first round by most analysts, and with the Mets selection, it came to pass. Benj signed fairly quickly, agreeing to a signing bonus worth almost $4 million. He was assigned to the St. Lucie Mets, where he would be focusing only on hitting, so he's not pitching anymore. He appeared in 15 games and hit .273 with 2 doubles, 2 home runs, 3 stolen bases. When Benj was drafted, the 6'1", 185-pound left-handed hitter stood extremely open, holding his hands high behind his head and wrapping his bat behind his head at 10 o'clock. As he would load up, he would raise his hands and angle his bat parallel to the ground before lowering them and angling his bat perpendicular to the ground at 12 o'clock, before returning it back to its original position during his front leg strike and swing, sometimes with compensatory bat wiggle. In his limited time with St. Lucie, his hand movement during his load was not as pronounced, and he got them back into hitting position much quicker, without most of the extra movement and momentum. While atypical mechanics aren't necessary depth centers as a professional hitter, they don't exactly help either. It is much easier to succeed in college baseball with unorthodox or unoptimized mechanics with a lighter balloon bat than it is as a pro. The 2025 season will highlight whether or not Carson Benj's swing mechanics will be problematic to begin with, whether or not the Mets had the capability of recognizing what is going wrong and compensate, or whether or not Benj has the ability to adapt provided the above occurs. The left-hander Has a lightning-fast bat that stays in the zone and makes a lot of quality contact because of a strong sense of the strike zone and an advanced eye for spin. When he makes solid contact on pitches and hits them squarely, he has produced exit velocities putting him firmly in the 90th percentile of his college cohort. In his limited innings with St. Lucie, averaging an 88 mile per hour exit velocity with multiple readings over 100. In 2024, he focused more on getting the ball in the air with more regularity in order to better tap into his raw power, and more or less succeeded. Okay? Because of the length and the mechanical hitches in his swing, Benj naturally goes to the opposite field a lot more than his pull side. With St. Lucie and slightly altered mechanics, he pulled the ball at 43.9%. He does most of his damage to the left center gap, going with pitches thrown down the middle or away. He struggled with pitches thrown in, getting jammed or at best inside outing them into left with Oklahoma State, but did not show the same kind of weakness with St. Lucie. The platoon spits that he had for his entire college career did not manifest itself in his 55 at-bat professional debut. Defensively, the Ryrie outfielder generally gets good reads off the bat, takes efficient routes to the ball, and has solid range thanks to the average to above average speed. He doesn't have a dynamic first step or afterburns, but reaches his striding speed quickly and can cover plenty of ground. The majority of scouts and evaluators do not feel he has enough range to play center field in any long-term capability, limiting him to a corner position. Thanks to his plus arm, he profiles well in right field and could be an average to above average defender there. On the mound, Benj drew from a 3/4 arm slot. He possesses a 4-pitch repertoire that includes a fastball that sits in the low to mid-90s, a changeup that sits in the mid-80s, a slider that sits in the low 80s, and a curveball that sits in the high 70s. Oklahoma used Benj as a reliever and as a starter, and has shown the ability to perform both roles. As a professional, there is no plan for him to continue development as a pitcher, but he has a solid foundation if that ever changes in the future. So the good thing here, really the thing, just looking at this, it seems like the biggest thing is how quickly his bat can get through the strike zone. If they can make an adjustment to his distance between the back of his body where he's hitting, if it's because his bat's wrapped around his head, so they get him to move just a little bit and then start his swing at a quicker pace or a closer pace, closer distance from the contact of the ball, you should be pretty good. But that's easier said than done. Also, they do have the sort of the fallback if he doesn't do well offensively, that he could be a pitcher. So that's the one good thing about having a two-way player. You always had that second, you have the capability of having a second life to your career. But who knows? But he's got a very good future, really. But we'll see. Let me know what you think about this video. And of course, I got 2 more from Amazing Avenue, and then we'll work on another list video. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you later. Hi everybody, this is the Baseball Head, the amazing, spectacular, terrific, the great one, the People's Champion. Your host, the Hunter. Welcome back to the Baseball Hut. Hope you like this video and hit that subscribe button. So, not too many players left on this list, but there are some big players on this list of players that were available this offseason, either through free agency or through trades, and there are quite a few notables. We're going to go through all the players that got moved and all the players that signed with teams in this video. So please, of course, subscribe and like this. There are quite a few players on this list that are very interesting to me, and we'll keep an eye on them during the season that will take place this year. So we're going to go through this list. First up on this list, and the first player that was signed was Juan Soto. He signed with the New York Mets for a 15-year, $765 million contract, the biggest contract in sports history. He'll be with the New York Mets until age 41. He does have an opt-out after 5 years. If he has big years, he'll opt out, and we'll see what happens at that point. I doubt Dave Stearns will sign into a contract after that, but who knows? Next up on the list was Corbin Burns. He signed in the middle of the night with the Diamondbacks, signed a big deal, 7-year deal. The Diamondbacks are going to be very good this year. We'll see how well they play against the underdog Dodgers out there in the National League West, excuse me. And speaking of the National League East, we got Pete Alonso back. As I'm doing this video, he's officially back with the Mets. He only going to make $20 million, only making less than what he was going to get with the qualifying offers. Get $20 million for the first year, $10 million signing bonus, and $24 million next year. Very good contract with the Mets, and he signed a 2-year deal with the Mets with an opt-out for the first year. Alex Bregman, who is the biggest name on this list, there were 3 teams in on him. It seems like the Astros are out, but according to reports, Boston, Detroit, and the Cubs. He's going to narrow it at some point. He's going to pick a team at some point. I don't know when. That's the word, that he will narrow it down to those 3 teams. Next up, Willy Adames with the Brewers for quite a few years after getting traded to the Rays, to the Brewers. And he's now with the Giants on the big deal with them. It's a good move for the Giants. Jack Flaherty went back to the Tigers on a 1-year deal. It's a good deal for the Tigers. The Tigers are going to be really good. They have a good pitching staff. They're going to be a very good team. They finished up very strong getting into postseason last year. And they all taken. This is a good step for them. Blake Snell signed a 5-year deal with the Dodgers. Hyun-Sung Kim, one of the Kims, he signed with the Rays. The other Hyun-Sung Kim, who's directly from Korea, who was his double play partner there, he signed with the Dodgers. Anthony Santander, he signed with the Blue Jays. Matt Chapman, as you know, signed in the season, re-signed with the Giants. Max Kepler signed with the Phillies. Justin Turner is still out there. Keep an eye on him. He might be in the move. I forgot which team he was supposedly was interested in him. Max Scherzer signed with the Blue Jays. Max Fried signed a massive 8-year deal with the Yankees. Ridiculous contract for the Yankees. They shouldn't have done that. He's had major injuries in his career. And it's sort of a desperate move on their part after they lost Juan Soto. Carlos Estevez signed with the Royals. That's a good move for the Royals. Paul Goldschmidt, he signed with the Yankees. The 97-year-old Paul Goldschmidt. Kyle Hendricks went to the Angels. Aroldis Chapman went to the Red Sox. Christian Walker signed a 3-year deal with the Astros. He's a good first baseman. Walker Buehler signed with the Red Sox. Mike Gafford signed a 1-year deal with the Dodgers. That's a good deal for Michael. He doesn't have to kill himself, just be part of the lineup. Frankie Montas signed a 2-year deal with the New York Mets. Tyler O'Neill signed with the Orioles. Gio Urshela signed with the A's. Yohan Moncada signed with the Angels, and this is before news came that Anthony Rendon is not going to be able to play most of the year. He's going to have to get hip surgery. Patrick Corbin, surprisingly, is still on the market. Keep an eye on, at least in my view, the Angels, of course, for whatever reason, and the White Sox. They could use some pitching. They could use everything. Justin Wilson signed with the Reds. Jurickson Profar signed with the Braves. Jesse Winker went back to the Mets. Sean Manaea signed a 3-year deal with the Mets. Re-signed with them. Luis Severino, both of the Mets went to the A's, signed a 3-year, $75 million contract with the homeless Athletics. Jose Quintana, surprised he does not have a home. There should be plenty of teams in on him. But teams that should be interested in him are Texas, Cincinnati, the White Sox, going back there, Detroit, Milwaukee, maybe going back to St. Louis or Toronto. Luis Castillo doesn't seem like he's getting moved, but there were teams in on him. The Cubs, the Phillies, the Mets, Dodgers, Baltimore, Boston. But the thing is, they look for a lot of talent. I don't think any team's going to be willing to match their asking prices. Teoscar Hernandez re-signed with the Dodgers. The Mets were close to bringing him in, but that didn't happen. Justin Verlander just recently went into camp. He's with the Giants. Gleyber Torres signed with the Tigers. Nathan Eovaldi re-signed with the Rangers. Michael Wacha re-signed with the Royals. These are guys that were players that were free agents. Eovaldi had, opted out, but then he re-signed with the Rangers. Tanner Scott signed a massive deal. All the money deferred, pretty much, with the Dodgers. Travis d'Arnaud signed with the Angels. Yusi Kikuchi signed with the Angels. Were very active with all these sort of minor moves. We'll see how they're able to sort of turn it into any kind of success. I don't know. Kirby Yates, at the beginning with the Rangers, signed with the Dodgers. Jeff Hoffman signed with the Blue Jays. Clay Holmes signed with the Mets. He's going to be one of their starters. We'll see how he pitched. He impressed early on in camp, but his spring training doesn't mean anything. He's been an all-star with the Yankees for the last few years. He's been a very good reliever. Matthew Boyd signed with the Cubs. Jock Peterson signed with the Rangers. Nick Pavetta's still out there. He has a qualifying offer from the Red Sox. He turned it down, the Red Sox. Don't be surprised if he doesn't sign until we get to the All-Star break and the draft. So he might be one of these players that made a mistake and not taking the qualifying offer from the Red Sox. Nick Martinez had a qualifying offer. He signed with the Reds. Very smart. AJ Minter signed with the Mets on a 2-year deal. From Japan, a bunch of players here. Tomoyuki Sugano signed with the Orioles. We'll see how he pitches with them. The Orioles did very little this offseason and very disappointing for a lot of fans. Roki Sasaki supposedly tricked everybody thinking that he was going to sign it anywhere but the Dodgers. And the Dodgers already had a deal. He signed with the Dodgers on a minor league contract, and he's the number 1 prospect in baseball. I don't know if I like that idea, but whatever. Shinozuki Ogasawara signed with the Nationals. Alec Boehm did not get traded. Garrett Crochet did get traded. He went to the Red Sox. Ryan Helsley did not get moved. He's still out there possibly. Jojo Romero's still out there. John King. These guys are on the Cardinals. Carlos Santana signed with the Guardians. Harrison Bader signed with the Twins. Alex Verdugo doesn't have a home. J.D. Martinez doesn't have a home. Kenley Jansen signed with the Angels. Blake Trinan signed with the Dodgers. Jordan Montgomery's not getting moved. He's put there in Arizona, which is probably smart. Yandy Diaz, everyone was talking about him going to the Mets. I'm glad the Mets did not pick him up. He's still with the Rays. The homeless Rays, by the way. Luis Robert Jr. still with the White Sox. The White Sox, other than trading Crochet, did nothing. Pittsburgh was rumored, and the Reds. Nolan Arenado, a new team has popped up today in rumors with San Diego. There was a trade for him going to the Astros, but he had the no trade clause, and he invoked that and nixed the deal. But teams that could be in on him are the Phillies, the Dodgers, the Angels still. The Angels might be interested considering they lost Rendon. The Yankees, Houston, well, I guess we can cross Houston. I'll leave them on here. Boston and the Padres. Austin Hayes signed with the Reds. Cal Quantrill signed with the Marlins on Wednesday. Brendan Rodgers is still out there. You know, Kyle Finnegan, he is not signed with the team. He could be a very good reliever or closer for some team. Brendan Rodgers has not signed. Colin Pouch hasn't signed. Jacob Webb, JT Chargos is not signed. Jordan Romano signed with the Phillies. Jeffrey Springs got traded to the A's. Josh Naylor got traded to the Diamondbacks. Cody Bellinger got traded to the Yankees. Devin Williams got traded to the Yankees. The Yankees actually have a closer now. We'll see how well he pitches against the Mets this year. The Cubs acquired Ryan Presley and Kyle Tucker in separate deals. The Cubs are trying to figure out what kind of team they're going to have. They should be much better than they were last year as a group, but we'll see. I expect the Reds to be a very good team this year with the best manager in that division, with the Terry Francona going there. I expect Elliot De La Cruz to have a massive year. I expect them to have close to an MVP year and possibly still 80 to 90 bases there. Dylan Cease has not been traded, but we heard Boston, the Mets were very prominent in this. The Cubs, the Phillies, Cleveland, Baltimore, Minnesota, and Atlanta. Luis Ariz, I don't know if he'll get moved. There's not a lot there. Other than the batting average, there's not a lot to this particular player, in my opinion. Doesn't have high on base percentage, does not play defense well, does not run well. Jesus Lazaro got traded to the Phillies. Jeff McNeil's still with the Mets. Starling Marte's still with the Mets. And Brett Beatty's still with the Mets. If the three players that could be moved, it could be Brett Beatty because he's a younger player. But the Mets have not traded any young players under Dave Stearns as of yet. Alex Diaz was mentioned in trade talk early on in the offseason. I thought the Mets would be interested in, considering the Mets have Edwin Diaz's brother. Arizona could be one that they would be interested. Marcus Stroman has not gotten moved. I heard the Cubs and the Angels. Taijuan Walker, the White Sox should be interested in him. The White Sox should be interested in anybody. Josh Bell signed with the Nationals. Ty France signed with the Twins. Gavin Lux signed and got traded to the Reds. And Michael King is still out there. Possibly will not be traded. He signed a 2-year deal, 1 year, and an option with the Padres. But, He's not going to get moved. But these are the players that were moved and or traded this offseason, and we're still not. We're not in the offseason really so much now. We're in spring training, but this is probably going to be the last video that I will do. The final video I will do to track all the players this offseason. It seemed like it went a lot slower than it probably was on the outset, but so many players got moved, so many players got traded, and there's still plenty of very good players still out there that could help a team. Will Smith, the left-handed pitcher, could help a team. Justin Turner on the bench could help a team. Let me see. Patrick Corbin can help some team. Jose Quintana, certainly. These are just some free agents. Let's see. Yeah, quite a few players here. And then a whole bunch of pie-in-the-sky players here, like Bo Bichette. I think he will not be with the Blue Jays after this year, I would think. And I think some point Taylor Ward will get moved. But really, there are some interesting players. Kyle Finnegan is a guy that I'm very surprised he doesn't have a team yet. Hopefully he'll find a team. He'd be a good player for any bullpen. Any pitcher for any bullpen, that's for sure, even if he wasn't closing. So I'm surprised he's still out there. But this is the list, and I'll have more. This is it, I guess. This is it. This is it. And I hope you like this video. And, of course, please subscribe to The Baseball Hut. Have a good day, and I'll see you later. Hi, everybody. This is The Baseball Hut. The amazing, spectacular, terrific, the great one, the People's Champion. Your host, and welcome back to The Baseball Hut. I hope you like this video. Hit that subscribe button. Before we get this video, a couple things. First of all, I want to got another super thanks from Mr. Jones 4384. And, of course, whenever you send me a super thanks, you get a shout-out, and you get highlighted in the community post. A couple other things. If you haven't noticed, the views on the channel have completely collapsed because this is February. We're in spring training, so don't think that I'm doing anything wrong. It's just the algorithm does that this time of year. It's very annoying and frustrating, just so you know. And, of course, just want to let people know that. But more importantly, the Mets beginning spring training. I know one thing, the Mets don't have the problems that the Yankees have. They don't have the munchkin of Melville has not shown up to the Yankees camp. It's Marcus Stroman. Never forget, the munchkin is all mad that his name has been bandied about in trade talks. Very petulant guy, very strange guy. I'm glad he's not with the Mets no longer. But I have an article for you on SI.com. And one of the big names, and really the big name that's being talked about and bandied about, is Vladimir Guerrero Jr. He is in like this sort of negotiation with the Blue Jays, and they are staring down a deadline. He has set a deadline that if he's not signed by the time he reports to spring training with the Blue Jays, that he's going to go the whole season and not negotiate. So that's out there. My opinion, I'm not going to give you my opinion, because when I've given my opinion on Guerrero Jr., people get mad at me. But I'll read you what they put out an article, and this is the headline. Did David Stern suggest Mets are out on future Vladimir Guerrero Jr. pursuit? People talking about it? I'm going to talk about it here. David Stern, see, sometimes I read these articles and people get mad at me thinking it's my idea. Like, trade proposal is my idea, what's wrong with you, and blah, blah, blah. David Stearns may have inadvertently explained why the Mets won't be pursuing Vladimir Guerrero Jr. in free agency next season. I would mention again, if I give you my opinion on Guerrero Jr., people take it very personal. Extremely, I don't know why. It's very strange. In January, it was reported the Mets had been in contact with Toronto Blue Jays regarding superstar slugger Vladimir Guerrero Jr. Quote, the Mets have spoken with the Toronto Blue Jays this winter about Guerrero, league sources say, though those sources characterized the conversations as checking in. SNY's little Andy Martino, who got it wrong when he said that the Blue Jays were on the 10-yard line with the polar bear, Pete Alonso. It seemed that the main reason why New York was inquiring about Guerrero Jr., who's still under control through next season, and this season, and therefore would have need to be traded, was because at that point the sentiment seemed to be that Pete Alonso was signing elsewhere. Well, we know that didn't happen. re-sign with our Mets. Of course, Alonso has since re-signed with the Mets, which ended any potential outcome of Guerrero Jr. joining New York, at least this year. However, something Mets president of baseball operations, David Stern, said during his February 11 appearance on the Pablo Torre Finds Out show. What a terrible name for a podcast. A show suggested New York may be out in Guerrero Jr. entirely moving forward. Speaking about what went into offering Juan Soto his historic contract, Stern said, quote, "It's tough to foresee another identical situated free agency emerge in the next, let's say, 7 to 10 years. So you had one shot at this type of investment. We put our best foot forward, and fortunately, we got it." Quote, "Regardless of how deep an organization pockets are, you can't do multiple of these. In terms of these generational type of contracts, you probably have one shot to shoot. We felt that this was the right person to take that shot," he added. I'm not saying this. This is the Mets boss saying this. Early estimates suggest that Guerrero Jr. could command a $500 million contract next offseason if he produced a good 2025 campaign. Therefore, Stern seems to essentially be saying his team isn't in a place to spend that amount of money on anybody else in the future, given that they've already allotted to Juan Soto this offseason. This is certainly fair enough, as given two players north of $1.2 billion does seem preposterous. It doesn't seem like Mets fans should expect their team to be on Guerrero Jr. next season. Then again, a lot can change in a year. Well, if Pete falls completely on his face, which I don't believe he will, I think Pete will have a big year. Very surprised if Pete doesn't hit 40 home runs this year. If he hits 40 home runs, the Mets have the potential to have 3 guys with 30 home runs. I don't believe they've ever done that. Mets could have 6 guys with 20 home runs, which I don't think they've done that. Maybe they did that in 2006. I got to think about it. But what do you think about this? See, I'm not going to say what I think. You tell me what you think. I know what people are going to say. Get him. Make a trade for him. Sign him next year. Give him $900 million. That's what people are going to say. Of course, thank you for watching. Again, the best way to support the channel right now is sending me super thanks. And I can't thank people enough for that, because obviously with the views down, the money's going to come down. So I need those super thanks, and become members of this channel. It's a great way to support your host during this time, because this is going to get a little rough the next month or 2. That's why I have multiple channels, just to sort of fill in the gaps. But thank you for watching. Please subscribe to the Baseball Hut, and I'll see you later. Hi, everybody. This is the Baseball Hut, the amazing, spectacular, terrific, the great one, the people's champion. Your host, welcome back to the Baseball Hut 2, and hopefully you like this video. Hit that subscribe button. So Marcus Stroman, he had played for the Mets in 2019, and then sort of, he played the last 2 months for the Mets, and he sort of didn't play in 2020. I guess he was scared. He was hiding under his little mushroom out there in Melville, wherever he's living. And then, of course, he played in 2021 for the Mets. He pitched okay. Was a bit of a lightning rod. He's a bit of a strange kind of bully on the mound. He tends to challenge teams that are bad. When he doesn't pitch well, he gets very irritated on the mound at certain times. And, he's 5'7". That's why I call him the Munchkin of Melville. He's from Melville, New York, on Long Island. And he's very, got a sort of a Napoleonic complex to a certain degree. And when he left the Mets, he basically complained about Met fans being racist. I would mention the 2021 Mets had a lot of problems in that clubhouse. Lots of problems. He was a big problem. Way too political in that clubhouse, and he was one of the problems. And the Mets let him go. But he attacked Met fans, calling them racist, which is terrible. And, of course, prior to him getting traded to the Mets, he complained about Brian Cashman, because there was rumors that the Yankees were going to trade for him, and then they didn't trade for him. He got all ticked off. He started complaining about Brian Cashman, one of the Three Stooges, one of the general manager of the Mets AAA affiliate, New York Yankees, and he was complaining about him. He didn't make a trade for him. Then he signed him last offseason, I guess to a 3-year deal with some options. But Marcus has been on the trade block pretty much all offseason. Well, he's not happy He's just not a happy guy. And he's a lousy guy in the clubhouse. And he's not shown up to camp for the Yankees. So let me read you from MLB Trade Rumors. The Yankees sign of Max Fried pushed Marcus Stroman out of the team's rotation, effectively bumping him down to 7th starter, even after sending Nestor Cortez to Milwaukee in the trade that netted closer Devin Williams. Stroman was 6th on the team's depth chart. The Yankees spent much of the offseason looking for a trade partner, but to no avail. The Yankees have spent much of the offseason looking for a trade partner, but that hasn't happened. Stroman is not only owed $18.5 million this coming season, but would unlock an $18.5 million player option for the 2026 season if he pitches 140 innings in 2025. The ongoing trade saga has created plenty of chatter about Stroman already this winter, but the opening of spring camps creates a bit more intrigue. The Munchkin of Mayorville hasn't been with the team for the past 2 days of workouts. SNY's little Andy Martino reports that the 33-year-old did take his physical for the club already. The Munchkin isn't holding out, per Martino, but rather is taking a few extra days, which is permissible under the collective bargaining agreement. This is not good. I mean, he's a very petulant guy. He really is. Manager Aaron Boone downplayed the issue, stating that he and Stroman had a very good conversation and that the righty is in a good spot. Stroman isn't missing any mandatory dates, even though pitching and catch technically began working out, reporting this week. The CBA stipulates that February 22nd is the mandatory report date. Workouts and practices thus far have technically been optional and voluntary. Boone was asked today if Stroman's absence from camp was in any way disappointing. Now, Boone's not going to say anything negative. Obviously, I want all of our players here clearly. That said, I'm comfortable where he's at physically, mentally. He's a prideful player. This is a guy that's had a great career. I wouldn't go that far. He's a 500 pitcher. You know, for somebody's 5'7", he's a 500 pitcher. And that's what he is. It's not a great career. It's an okay career. It's a little bit of an awkward situation, obviously, so, of course, I want him here. I mean, Marcus thinks he's 6'7". You know, in terms of on the mat. He's got a big man presence, but he's a jerk. He's a jerk in the clubhouse. He's a jerk on the field at times. You know, he wants the whole, stadium to pay attention to him. You know. Boone continues, I'm trying to keep nudging him to get here. But again, you also have to respect the fact that this is something that players are allowed to do. There's a mandatory report date. I mean, this is a guy that's pissed off that the Yankees have been trying to trade him. Instead of being professional, Marcus does the same things over and over and over again. Shows how unprofessional he is and how ridiculous his behavior is. That's how he's been his whole career. He wore out his welcome in Toronto. The Mets got tired of him and his act when he was with the Mets in 2021. I know that the Mets were very uptight that he didn't play in 2020 when they needed pitching. And, you know, he acts like a fool on the field sometimes, you know, and he'll be a bully to teams that aren't any good. The Mets played a game right after the All-Star break in 2021. At that point, they already lost Jacob deGrom. That night, they had lost Francisco Lindor, I guess, to an oblique injury, and he was out for 6 weeks. Marcus had a lead in that game. He pitched terrible after the Mets got a lead for him. That was a game that Edwin Diaz gave up a grand slam, you know, in the 9th inning to lose the game. But that game was known for the Mets having a lead. Marcus was very unprofessional against the Pirates. He got in a shouting match with the Pirates, and that basically disintegrated the whole game. You know, and this is a guy that, you know, he thinks he's better than he actually is. He's a good third starter at best. 4th starter. But Marcus thinks he's the number 1 starter. For his height class, he is. I mean, for a Munchkin, he is. But, you know, I'm glad that the Mets are not calling him up from the Mets. I'm glad the Mets aren't calling him up from their AAA affiliate, the Yankees. But That's all in jest, of course. Yankee fans will come in here, they'll get all mad hearing this. Oh, well. This stuff going in now. Well, let me know what you think about this video, of course, and please subscribe to the Baseball Hut too. I'll see you later. All right, now welcome back to the Prospect Hub. We'll talk about Mets prospects, and we have a scouting report for you. And so on the big Met prospect, this is Jet Williams at number 2. And this from Amazing Avenue, do a wonderful job. And here's the headline: Top 25 Mets prospects for 2025. Jet Williams, number 2. Next up on the list is an infield, and of course, please subscribe. I've been spending, we're almost done with this list, and we'll go on to another list. Because of his shorter stature, Jet Williams has always been one of the smaller people on the field. He's 5'6", I believe, leading to many double downing him. The constant question, skepticism about his ability to play baseball developed into a chip on his shoulder and fueled him since his Little League days. In high school, he made the Rockwell Heath High School varsity baseball team as a freshman, and helped lead them to state playoffs in virtually every season that he played for the Hawks. In his junior and senior years, arguably the most important for a high school player, he hit .347 with 5 home runs and 15 stolen bases. The hard work he put in paid off, as he was considered one of the best talents available in the 2022 MLB draft. With their second first-round pick in the 2022 MLB draft, the 14th overall pick, the Mets selected Williams. He signed roughly a week later, forgoing his commitment to Mississippi State University, agreeing to a $3.9 million bonus. The 18-year-old was assigned to the Florida Complex League Mets to begin his professional career and appeared in 10 games for them in the month of August, in .250. That winter, Amazing Avenue ranked Williams the 5th Mets best prospect. Williams began the 2023 season assigned to the St. Lucie Mets and played there to the end of July, when he was promoted to the Brooklyn Cyclones. In those 79 games, he had hit a respectable .249 with 12 doubles, 6 triples, 6 home runs, 32 stolen bases, and 69 walks to 76 strikeouts. While many hitters struggled when sent to Brooklyn, he was quite the opposite for Williams. In the 36 games he played for Brooklyn, he had .299 with 9 doubles, 2 triples, 7 home runs, 12 stolen bases in 13 attempts, and 32 walks to 32 strikeouts. In mid-September, Williams was promoted to the Binghamton Roman Ponies to finish the year, went 5 for 22 with them, hitting 1 double, stealing 1 base, and walking twice and to 10 strikeouts. All in all, Jet Williams appeared in 121 games and hit a combined .263 batting average, .425 on base, .551 slugging percentage with 22 doubles, 8 triples, 13 home runs, 45 stolen bases, and 52 attempts and 104 walks to 118 strikeouts. His 104 walks led the system, and in doing so, the 19-year-old became the first teenager to lead the Mets minor league system and walks since David Wright did so in 2002. On the heels of his excellent performance, Williams was considered the Mets' top prospect by Amazing Avenue, one of the best prospects in all of baseball. Expectations were high for him coming into 24, but he did not unfortunately live up to them. He got off to a sluggish start in April, with Binghamton going 7 for 39 in 11 games, thanks to wrist discomfort. Received a pair of cortisone injections and eventually underwent right wrist triangular fibrocartilage complex debridement procedure. That's a mouthful. He missed 4 months to the date, and then wrapped up the season hitting .172 in 22 games with Binghamton and .364 in 6 games with Syracuse. After the season concluded, the Mets sent Williams to the Arizona Fall League, appearing in 22 games for the Scottsdale Scorpions. He had .225 with a .376 on-base percentage and .388 slugging percentage and 80 at-bats, with 2 doubles, 3 triples, and 3 home runs. And this 24 season, on an ignominious a note as possible, Williams injured his right ankle in the first inning of the Scottsdale Salt River play-in semifinal, crashing against the left center field wall, attempting to corral a Tyler Callahan fly ball that would ricochet for a double. Fortunately, the injury was just a sprain, and after a few weeks, Williams was healthy and ready to continue his off-season training. The 5'6" Williams stands square at the plate, holding his hands high, and angling his bat at 12:30. His swings with a big leg kick and a short levered swing that is quick to the ball. While he may be on the shorter side of what is considered viable in professional baseball, Williams is athletic and has strong arms and a thick lower body. Thanks to his plus bat speed, Williams makes a lot of hard contact. In 2024, he was limited due to his wrist problems, but still posted a handful of exit velocities of 100 plus miles per hour, with a season high 104.9 miles per hour, still being well above average for a 20-year-old and in the 90 percentile for readings. In 2023, when healthy, he recorded dozens of exit velocities readings over 100 miles per hour. Williams makes high-quality swing decisions, rarely expanding the zone and showing a willingness to lay off pitches he knows he can't hit. Thanks to a good eye and quick hands, he regularly puts good work on both premium velocity and advanced spin. There have been some instances in 2023 where Williams has struggled against velocity up in the zone, but it hadn't been enough of a problem for evaluators to consider a fatal flaw. Because of his limited time in 24, he did not see enough premium velocity for evaluators to determine whether or not he has worked past this concern. At times in 2023, his approach tended a bit too passive, which led to both good and bad results. His season culminated in a walk rate of roughly 20%, and led the Florida State League in the lowest chase rate. The strikeout rate was slightly higher, and his name was also high up the ladder board in hittable pitch take rate. He seemed to get more aggressive and promoted to the Brooklyn Cyclones. Virtually all of his offensive numbers took an upturn as a result. Similar to his hiccup, the velocity up in the zone, Williams did not play enough in 24 for scouts and evaluators to determine whether or not he has learned the art of aggressive passivity. On top of his above-average hit tool power, Williams has plenty of speed. Put it to good use in 23 stealing 45 bases. He came into the season looking a little stockier and thicker and ran more about average speed times than plus, clocking sprint speeds that graded out more often as the former than the latter, but he still was effective on the base paths, stealing 5 of 8 bases during the regular season and 7 of 8 during the Arizona Fall League. When on the field, he continued pushing the envelope on the base paths, legging out doubles, taking extra bases, and challenging outfielders. Drafted as a shortstop, there were questions as to whether or not he would be able to stick at the position when he was drafted, as an injured shoulder during his junior and senior seasons of high school clouded his true arm strength and accuracy. At the time of the draft, some scouts and evaluators believed that he was playing compromised to a degree and that when fully healthy, his arm would be solid average for the position, while others believed that his arm would not get stronger and that he would eventually be forced from the position due to fringy arm strength. Williams has played most of his games there in 23 and 24, and with 135 games under his belt, it is becoming a little clearer that his arm is indeed on the fringier side for a shortstop. That does not mean that Williams will not be able to play the position for years to come, as he makes up for it by excelling at many of the other aspects of the position. Thanks to quick reaction times, above average range, thanks to his speed and athleticism, and good glove and footwork, he should be able to handle the routine plays. The Mets have also had Williams learn center field and in the Arizona Fall League. He made as many starts there as he did at short. His speed and athleticism are once again extra booms, as he has shown plenty of range and afterburners to close in on balls. New to the position, he will have to continue to refine his read of the ball off the bat and the routes he chooses to take to the ball. But these are aspects of the position that come with time and experience, and Williams has all of the prerequisite tools of being an above-average center fielder. So there's a lot to like here. The biggest problem is an obvious one, and that is he did not play last year. And the belief was that he probably had a very good chance to get to the majors. He has the same issue in that regard to Drew Gilbert. They did not play last year at all. And they played a little bit in the beginning and a little bit at the end. And he's coming off a wrist injury. And players that have wrist injuries tend to not have good seasons. And he had a terrible season when he was able to play. Hopefully he's healthy this spring. The Mets are going to play him a lot in center field and at second base. He's not considered a third baseman. I don't think they look at him like that. He is a top prospect. Him missing time has put him back. When you miss an entire season, like I said, you can't get that back. So he's missed an entire season of not only just playing, but development. Being able to recognize situations, being able to adjust to things, adjust to games, weeks and months playing without any days off. He did not get a chance to do that at higher level in AA and, of course, AAA, but wouldn't primarily in AAA for him. I would expect that he will be one of the first cuts in spring training, and I would expect that he'll be playing in AAA. And if the Mets need somebody to play shortstop as a backup, or that they need somebody in second base or in the outfield, he'll be coming here. But he's behind other guys. He's obviously behind Luis Angel Acuna. The one thing I mentioned about Acuna, which I don't normally talk about, that's different from him, is he played a full season AAA. The Mets like what they saw, but he didn't have a good year. But that's why you need to play and not get hurt. So that's very important, obviously. But Jed Williams has a chance to be a very good player. I mean, everyday player. You let me know what you think about this video. And, of course, please subscribe to the Baseball Hut. No, the Prospect Hut. I'll see you later.